So today we'll be talking about the drums of battle, or the leatherworking drums in general for TBC. So today Blizzard gave us an update on how this would work, and they are pretty much giving us a Tinnitus Debuff for using drums, which functions as a party-wide debuff, or a cooldown for using leatherworking drums. So today I want to read you guys the patch notes, or the Bluepost if you will, then we'll talk a little bit more about it. But before we talk about the Bluepost or the patch notes, for those of you who may not have played Burning Crusade or don't know much about the drums, basically the way this worked in TBC and has been working on many servers that shall not be named, is that you can chain drums of battle, or any leatherworking drums for that matter, back to back. So basically, in any group you would want to have 4 leatherworkers, since the drums have a 2-minute cooldown and they last for 30 seconds, so with 4 leatherworkers in a group, you could pretty much have a 100% uptime Heroism or Bloodlust effect. This resulted in a huge leatherworking meta, because it obviously increases your damage output by a ton, and it made players locked in on having leatherworking as a profession, especially if they were planning to do any type of PvE content. In a 25-man raid group you would for example need to have 20 leatherworkers, which takes away a lot of player freedom, as it eliminates their freedom to choose their own professions. So let's read the Bluepost. Over the first few weeks of testing in the Burning Crusade beta, we have found it useful to elaborate on and bolster the Some Changes philosophy that we expressed at BlizzCon 9, and as we've said, we are open to making further alterations to Burning Crusade Classic, and we are guided by the goal of authenticity in how the game plays, especially given how players in 2021 approach a game that was designed in 2007. We have decided to make the following updates to Burning Crusade Classic. Number 1. Lesser versions of leatherworking drums will be available from the beginning of the expansion, and will approximate how drums operated in the first few patches of the original Burning Crusade. Number 2. Greater versions of the drums will become available with the phase that includes the Suleiman raid. Number 3. Throughout Burning Crusade Classic, using leatherworking drums will invoke the Tinnitus Debuff, preventing reuse for 2 minutes. This decision follows a great deal of consideration of the options available, and ultimately the Some Changes philosophy is a method for identifying problems where specific design choices made in 2007 don't completely match the design intent of 2007. Having identified a clear issue of that type with the drums, we naturally look for changes that were made at the time to address the problem. Tinnitus is exactly such a fix. It was added to the game in the very next major update after the Sunwell patch. Tinnitus simply limits the number of leatherworkers that a guild will consider beneficial to 1 leatherworker per party. It fits with the design intent of the Burning Crusade, which encouraged guilds to carefully plan their raid composition, to ensure access to various buffs, and to make the best use of various drops, such as the Primal Nethers. This change should preserve leatherworking's unique niche without devaluing it too much compared to other professions, which was the goal of the overall profession design of the Burning Crusade. Our next step is to test it, so we are updating the beta today to include Tinnitus, and it will be in place when we resume testing in Karazhan. As before, we will be carefully following what testers do with it, and feedback from testers. We encourage you to use the in-game bug report function in the beta. Thank you very much for all of your testing and feedback. Now that's the Bluepost, let's also cover some extra information. Tinnitus was a debuff added to leatherworking drums near the end of the Burning Crusade, undocumented in the patch notes. After a player in the group uses leatherworking drums, all of the players benefiting from the drum effect will gain a 2-minute debuff, preventing them from gaining any more drum effects for those 2 minutes. This means high-performing raid groups in Burning Crusade Classic will only need 1 leatherworker per group in the raid, totaling 5 leatherworkers in a 25-man raid group. This is a major change that has been long overdue, as the PvE community has been desperate for Blizzard to make a change to the leatherworking drums. Blizzard even went so far as to write up a detailed explanation for their decisions, only to leave the players even more confused. Thankfully, Blizzard has reached a decision, and decided the best way to not make leatherworking feel mandatory is to add the Tinnitus Debuff, a change that did happen in the Burning Crusade. So long story short, you will no longer need 80% of your raid group to have leatherworking, but you will still want at least one leatherworker per raid composition, or per group in per raid composition, meaning one leatherworker per group in a raid setup, so each group can benefit from the drums. There will be a 2-minute debuff called Tinnitus that will be applied to everyone in the group, or everyone that actually benefits from the drums, once the drums have been used. The fact that this debuff is a group-wide and not raid-wide allows you to split up your damage output, so for example Group 1 and Group 2 can pop drums on one particular phase of the fight, while Group 3, 4 and 5 can use their drums on a different phase of the fight. There will be lesser drums available from the start, and greater drums will become available in a later phase, which is the Suleiman phase. The difference between lesser drums and greater drums is the effect radius, so with lesser drums you will need your group to stack up when using the drums. Personally, I feel like that adding the Tinnitus debuff is the right thing to do, and like I said in the post, this debuff was actually in the Burning Crusade as well in the latest patch, and it's been in the client ever since, so it's not like they are adding anything new here. The addition of the Tinnitus debuff will allow for players, or make players, a lot more free when it comes to their profession choices, as you will no longer be required to have leatherworking, outside of one person per group, so overall I think this is a great change. The fact that we no longer need that many leatherworkers in a raid group could also spice up the raiding meta quite a bit, as that allows other professions' bonuses to really shine as well, and I'm really excited to see what the next meta will be. I also want to say that me and Willy kinda predicted this would happen a long time ago, around the BlizzCon line around February. So yeah, it looks like Blizzard is finally fixing the drums issue, and they are giving us all of the changes we've been asking for a long time now, and I'm really happy about it, so yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Should they keep it the way it was back at the beginning of TBC, or is the Tinnitus debuff a good thing? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, slap a like on it, and hit me up with a subscribe if you haven't yet, because I will be uploading a ton of TBC content, and you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.
I was here before the Withered Bald King reacted to this, and this was 1 week ago. Wow. Wow. So they knew it was going to happen.